Have you ever wished for a way to turn an insecure code fragment into a secure alternative? Well, look no further, because today we'll make this happen with Semgrep. You know, I'm pretty passionate about tools like Semgrep. During my PhD, I researched a very similar tool, and I found that highly customizing and tailoring the rules to specific projects really increases developer engagement. So I'm happy to see it is easy to do with Semgrep, and we have an active community that is actually doing this. Another way to increase developer engagement is to not just slap them on the wrist when they do something wrong. Instead, we should provide them remediation guidance. And what better way to do this than fixing the code for them? That is what we'll do today with autofixes. First, we'll write a rule from scratch, and we'll add some test syntax to make sure this keeps working. If you've done this before, you can skip this part. Then we'll write a fix, and we'll also add an autofix test to make sure that keeps working. And finally, we'll increase the difficulty with some more advanced features to write more complicated fixes. I have make transaction.py, so this is Python code, and the function is called make transaction. Its first argument is a transaction, and then there's an optional argument, secure, which in this case equals false. And so I guess with this example, we want to replace the false with secure. So let's write a rule. Make transaction.yaml. We add a rules. The rule needs an idea. Make sec transaction. We still need a severity. Let's just take warning. We need a message. This transaction is not secure. We need a pattern. Let's just copy paste pattern here. And as my linter says, we also need languages, and in this case our rule is targeting Python code. So there we go. We don't want this to be literally transaction. It can be any variable, so we are using a metavariable. So we also want to capture this if it's a T2. So if we want to test whether this rule works, we can add some rule test syntax, which looks like this. We can copy the rule ID, and then this should be okay. And so to run these tests, we are still in the same folder. We can run semgrep --test, and this will compare every YAML file to every Python file. In this case, we only have one, so we have 1 out of 1, which is all tests have passed. We also see that there are no tests for fixes found. We don't have a fix yet, so we don't have any fix tests either. Let's start by writing a fix. Fix is pretty easy. Just going to copy this line, and we replace secure false with secure true. It's very convenient that metavariables can be reused. So this trans can be reused in the fix, and it will copy whatever was captured in the original pattern to the fix. And now we want to add a fixed test. So we copy our original test code. We make a new file where we add the fixed suffix before the extension. So we copy make transaction.py to make transaction.fixed.py. We can open both at the same time to compare them side by side. On the left here I have the fixed.py, and on the right it's the original file. So in our fix we want the secure false to be replaced with the secure true, like this. Let's run semgrep --test. And as you can see, Semgrep automatically detects that there is a fixed.py case for this rule, and it applies a fix to your original test code and compares the results, and the tests passed. So that means if we apply our makeTransaction.yaml, let me demonstrate, config makeTransaction.yaml to makeTransaction.py, we have some findings. We replace false with secure false with true in these two cases, and the end result is exactly what is defined in the makeTransaction.fixed.py. Just for reference, running this does not apply the fix yet. This is just a preview. If you want to actually apply the fix, you need to run --autofix, which is not something I will do right now. All right, let's open our makeTransaction.py and makeTransaction.yaml again side by side. We are adding another test case. Say we want to have another optional argument, commit, and actually since it's two optional arguments, they can be in any place, like that. These are both valid. So right now we wouldn't capture this because our pattern assumes we only have two arguments. We have the transaction and we have the secure equals false flag. To remediate this, we could add ellipses before and after, I guess, like this. But an ellipsis does not allow us to capture what is captured in the original pattern and reuse it in the fix. We could use metavariables like this, but metavariables are not optional. So in that case, we would no longer capture the original two test cases, which only have two parameters in the function call. So actually there is a better way to do this. We are going to define a pattern inside. Like this. We are looking for any make transactions, and in this case we can start using ellipsis that contains secure equals false somewhere. And in that pattern inside we are looking for false, and we are going to replace that false with true. So this is what it will look like. Let me demonstrate with our preview of an autofix. If we scroll up a bit, you can see that now we are only marking the single false and replacing it with true. We don't have our test code yet because I want to show you something more. So let's say we have commit false. Now there are two cases where false occurs within this pattern inside that we defined. So what would happen if we run this now? Well, then we are replacing both this one, commit false on line 12, and the secure false on line 12 with true, which is of course not what we intend. So let's write a proper autofix test before we complete our rule. Let's open both makeTransaction.py and makeTransactionFix.py. Actually, let's copy our code. That's gonna make it easier. And then let's open makeTransaction.py side by side. So now we have both identical files. On the left, we have our fixed.py, which we want to fix. Let's do this manually right now. We want to replace all secure false with secure true. So in this case, there and this one. And so we don't want to replace this commit false with true. That should be it. If we are now running Semgrep dash dash test, we should see that this is failing. As you can see, scroll up a bit, we have all tests passed, but one fixed test did not pass. And we are expecting commit false, secure true, and we are getting commit true, secure true. So let's edit our rule. Make transaction.py, make transaction.yaml, side by side. A better way to go about this is to use a metavariable-pattern value like this. So we are looking for make transaction that sets secure to a certain value, and that value, metavariable-pattern, we can narrow down. We are looking for the metavariable value, and the pattern that we are looking for is false. And then we still need a focus-metavariable value. What this does is, this is our pattern, so the finding would mark the entire make transaction, but a focus-metavariable actually allows us to narrow down the marking to only this metavariable, which makes it easy to write a fix, and this should work. So let's run our tests. Let's save files and then run semgrep -- test. All of our tests passed. And that's our rule working. I'll add some relevant links in the description below, and in the meantime you can check out one of my other videos.